why do you like the Feywild? Like, what is it about? Because I love gothic horror. I love like werewolves and vampires and everything else. But the Feywild, there's something bigger and scarier, and I feel like the threat in some ways is bigger in my mind when it comes to the Feywild. That your soul is and your mind are very much at stake in the Feywild in a very different way.
I'm drawn to the Feywild because I can get whimsy and I can get horror in equal measure.
Right.
Quite simply. There's a lot of room to play with, from sort of Disney-esque quality, fairy godmothers, and singing birds and a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then there's the Grimm's fairy tales, which is dark and ominous and threatening. And both of those things just create a beautiful, beautiful lemon meringue pie in my mind.
But what scares you? What scares Chris Perkins in the Feywild, other than clowns? Is there something that drew you in?
Yeah.
Because like when you look at Mr. Dark from Something Wicked This Way Comes, that blows my mind every time. Because he is charming and well-spoken and has a point to some horrible degree. And it's that charm that's scary.
Yeah, I think what I like about it is the sense that if you go here, you just might not come back.
Yeah.
And you're just, gone? Or you might come back and time has sort of left you behind.
Yeah.
The rules of time can work a little differently in the Feywild. Little Johnny can go in there when he's 9 and return 19 years later and he's still 9. What happened?
See, I feel like I know where everyone's coming from in Avernus, but then you're in the Feywild and things get a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, and then you're dealing with, creatures of unfettered emotion who can actually sort of shape the landscape and do things because of it. And how do you deal with those people, those creatures? The fact that you could offend somebody by doing nothing. Part of it too is we just haven't seen the Feywild much. We haven't done much with it, and so it is a more of a blank canvas. Creatively, it's an exciting place as a DM to go because there hasn't been tons of Feywild adventures written. There isn't a second edition Feywild line that you can look back on like you can with Ravenloft.
Right.
There's none of that.
Yeah, there's nothing that immediately jumps to my mind. So this feels like the first definitive.
Yeah. How many archfey have we met in D&D?
I would like more.
Yes, so would I. Maybe this is the start of something grand.
That's fantastic. Is there one core element that is absolutely your favorite, or do you think that's going to be the most enticing to players? I've never quite seen a carnival like this carnival before, and I love the fact that there's little games and everything in there.
It's funny you should come back to the carnival, because when we sent the adventure out for playtesting, one of the comments that was most frequent was, we didn't want to leave the carnival. We didn't want to go on the rest of the adventure because we were just having fun, mucking around in the carnival. And I think that's one of my favorite things is you can just take the carnival and make that part of your campaign and leave the rest behind. It's just a fun place to explore on its own.
There is something that kind of intimidates me, and I found this true to be very recently. I actually had to run Strahd and roleplay as Strahd, and I feel like that character is so loaded at this point of expectations that I tended just to go for combat and just smack everyone down. When in regards to the Wild Beyond the Witchlight and any nemesis or creature, do you have a go-to place when you run them for people in your personal D&D games or in the live games that you've done? How do you keep fresh as a role player and an actor for these bigger than life characters?
That is a very good question. I don't really know the answer to that because when I'm role playing, I'm kind of in a zone, right? Like you're improvising, and I'm improvising, so I don't know that ahead of time necessarily how I think. But I find that the less I say, the better, because every time I open my mouth, there's a chance that I could say something that doesn't quite mesh with expectation or could be unintentionally funny, or you can sort of sabotage the character unintentionally by saying too much. And so I tend to, when I'm bringing a character to life, be as minimalistic as possible in terms of what they say and their screen time. Strahd is, I don't want to get into long-winded dialogue with Strahd.
Yeah.
Because the longer that conversation goes on, the more off the rails it's going to get.
Right.
So at some point, he does have to either turn into a bat and fly away,
right.
turn into a cloud of mist and slip under the door, or just rip your jugular out.
True for the players as well, right? Like you don't want to necessarily keep the conversation going. So.
No, and that's why a couple good zingers and then he's out of there.
Is there any environmental stuff? Is there any magical items that really stand out to you in this adventure that are particularly fun? I have seen some of the... there is a... once talked about cute ugly. There's nothing but mostly cute in this. And it, melts my soul when you see some of the names. This is the cutest D&D adventure ever that is also extremely deadly. You have weaponized cuteness.
Yeah, we have gone way overboard, I think, with cute characters in this one, partly because the story lends itself well to them. From baby displacer beasts to, child-sized scarecrows, to, candy apple-headed goblins. All kinds of crazy crap. But one of my favorite items in the book is a cauldron. It sits at the center of the story. In fact, the story really revolves around it. It is a very, very powerful magical cauldron. Potentially the most powerful cauldron in the multiverse. And it is the source of great turmoil in the heart of the story. And when the characters find it, I think they'll be of two minds. One mind, they'll want to keep it, run away with it, even though it's not easily transportable. And the other is they'll want to destroy it and destroy it quickly, if they're capable. And I love that. I love when they finally encounter it, what might happen to it and what they might do with it. Of course, it's got a fierce protector, and they'll have to deal with that first.
Yeah, I'm always of a mind to just steal the thing if I can. So yeah.
Yeah. And bragging rights, if you can get Warduke's flaming sword.
Yeah, well, I want the helmet.
And the helmet, yeah.
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 Yeah, all that is... The art is absolutely... There's a ton of amazing art in this book, too.
Oh, yeah. The art and just the layout of the book and all the flourishes that were sort of added at the end. Kate Irwin is the art director, and she arrayed a stunning cast of artists to bring all these cute characters and magical moments of the story to life, including Anilla with a giant owl, which I really like. And then Trish Yoakum did the graphic design, the final sort of layout of the book, and from the background texture to the little bits of lights and things that she added to the corners of some of the illustrations and the corners of some of the pages. It's a very magical book.